Mic check. Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh and in this video we shall discuss current affairs and Gazette for 15th of March 2022. Welcome to all the participants here. Hi Amlan, Netra, Kriti, Kim, Babani. Welcome all of you. Hima, Tiyasha, welcome. Vivek, good evening to you. Hi Pooja, good evening Ashish. Good evening all of you. Let's welcome this discussion. And yes, it was the Hermetic Viper. Thank you for acknowledging this. Now we have begun. So what do we have in the Gazette today? We have three updates. One is on missile misfire. Yes, it was misfired quite a few days back and Pakistan took a while to be able to respond to it. It didn't know what to do about it, where it came from. Their missile defense wasn't as proactive, and that's the reason we also took a while to present this article. I think this happened on 9th or 10th of this month. The second one is Mumbai's net zero plan, an update on how Mumbai has said they will become net zero by the year 2050, first in South Asia. And the third one is removing of pricing caps for microfinance lenders. So some updates about microfinance. They are converting these microfinance institutions at par with the banks so that they also have their survival. We will understand how it is being done. This day in history dedicated to World Consumer Rights Day. Amlan, your question will get solved here. 1962, 1983, we will understand. Feature news for today is on India-UAE trade relations. Not only trade, but India-UAE relations in all, right? We had covered the free trade agreements in one of the feature news, and there we took the example of UAE itself. So we will understand in this feature news more than just the trade relations. We will understand what's happening in the Middle East and how is UAE an important trade partner for us. Important partner for us. Image of the day, Museum of the Future. All right, but that's not the image of the day. We have a different image of the day. I'll show that to you. A little growth, but then still important, relevant. Terms and concepts. Center for Space Sciences, Satish Dhawan Centers for Space Sciences in Jammu. The symbol Z, Owl Conservation and Covovax. Three editorials that we have. One is on India's tech regulations which need an upgradation. The second one is on India which needs to revamp its foreign trade policy. And the third one on Ukraine invasion. The case study is on Signal School from Ahmedabad. We will understand what the school is about. Very similar to the concept of schools on boats. Good evening, Gopal. Hi, Ashit. Good evening. Welcome. But before we begin, there is something for all of you. What are you guys saying? Okay, anyhow. Something for you people who have been working here, because your work shows up. Dreams don't work unless you do, and when you do, your dreams actually starts to the blur sign starts to become little more real, little more tangible, intact, and then it is achievable. And nobody said it was easy, and that's the toil that that's the toil that is the cost. Nobody says it was easy, but once we start doing it and we are in the middle of it, it's not easy or tough. It's just a matter of habit. Aristotle himself said it, right? Excellence is a matter of habit, right? Habitual, anything that is habit, that is what excellence could as well be, right? So that's what will get reflected in the examinations as well. Nothing out of the box, right? So let's begin this discussion. The first snapshot, the first update is on missile misfires. And before we get into this, let me quickly, please, if you don't get offended, let me show you something that's happening around, running around here and there, some memes. So Munna Bhai and the lady here asking, India, in the context of the news, allegedly India fires BrahMos missiles into Pakistan due to tech glitch in undercoats. So Pakistan says, Pakka, ye tech glitch hi tha na? And Munna Bhai is like, yes, tech glitch. The second meme says, India accidentally fires a missile in Pakistan, and Prime Minister is like, "Tune kiya na? It was you." Just some memes. Take it casually, please. And the third one says, Pakistan Army claims India fired missiles endangering passengers' flights in Pakistan. Yes, there was a complete brief on how passenger flights, even Air India flights, were there was some security breach there. So Putin says, "अरे भाई, ऐसे इधर उधर मिसाइल मत छोड़ा करो." And Modi ji says, "अरे योगी जी चुनाव जीते थे तो लड़के ने बस सेलिब्रेट किया." Just take it casually, right? So a lot of memes circulating around. Now the news is this, that India accidentally fired one cruise missile from Sirsa, around 100 kilometers away from Pakistan border, and the trajectory got misplaced and it flew inside Pakistan territory, around 100 kilometers inside Pakistan territory, and flew for around 3.5 minutes in Pakistan territory, right? The Pakistan Vice Chief of Air Staff, I think that was the officer, he only stated this, 3.5 minutes. And they said we were tracing the complete trajectory of the missile. However, they did not shoot it down. I don't know why. If they had missile defense systems, they should have shot it down, but they did not shoot it down. And then when it landed on the ground, they found that the missile was not having a warhead in itself. It was just the rocket, right? The rocket could have a missile or a warhead or what do you call it? Payload. The missile only had the fuel, and that's how it was not harmful to anybody, right? To this, Pakistan has asked an explanation from India. They're also conducting inquiries. India also is conducting inquiry on how this misfire happened. So technical glitch is what India has responded to Pakistan, to which Pakistan has not responded back. This is the update. All right. So this is where I'd like to share with you what is the relationship between India and Pakistan. How do they share updates about missiles, right? There are multiple pacts between India and Pakistan which oblige them to share details if in case they are doing some weapon testing or ballistic missile testing between themselves. They also have to share their nuclear facilities installation list. If you remember, India and Pakistan had exchanged this in 1980s, a pact through which they will not be attacking the nuclear facilities. Similarly, when India is doing any ballistic missile testing or Pakistan is doing something similar, they will have to share all this detail 5 days in advance. 5 days, right? The launch site cannot be within 40 kilometers of the border. Similarly, when launched, it cannot come down or strike at the ground around 70 kilometers at the border. These are some of the ground rules, and this is where possibly there's been a mistake from India's end, right? Mistake, under quotes, right? So possibly we would be testing if Pakistan's air defense systems are robust enough or not, and we found not enough, right? So this is the update here. The missile went 124 kilometers, well within Pakistan's territory. Supersonic. And what missiles were these? These were possibly BrahMos missile itself, right? What India is selling abroad, India gave a good taste to Pakistan as well. Unharmed, but unarmed as well, right? So this is where we have given you a quick comparison of ballistic and cruise missiles. Ballistics travel very fast. They are like a projectile, but cruise travel close to the ground. They are less detected, and they are for shorter distances, right? So they have to pre-notify, according to an agreement of 2005, that all the ballistic missiles which are launched, there must be the information about where they are getting launched from, what is the trajectory that it will follow. Notice to air missions to alert aviation pilots and seafarers, right? And the limit is such that 40 kilometers from the boundary, the launch site has to be located, and 75 kilometers the impact area, it cannot be within 75 kilometers of the international border, IB. All right. So this is what the update is, which has been. But by the way, these instructions are for ballistic missile, right? But we did not launch a ballistic, no. So that is the loophole here. Although we can't launch a missile like that, no, inside Pakistan territory. When I read the news, it says that it was accidentally, it changed its course of action, course of trajectory. But then, what happens in a cruise missile? The data is already fed in the missile of where it has to go, and after that, it is all on its own. Fire and forget. You fire and then you forget, it will hit the target. But then some of the cruise missiles can be directed midway in the trajectory as well. Now, if they could be, why wasn't the trajectory changed? That is the point of investigation from India's end, right? Then again, a lot of other things can be done. For example, the destruction fuse is there. If you have the fuse destruction, the missile will get disabled in the mid-air itself. All these things are possible, right? So this is the update here from the first update, right? The second update is on Mumbai's net zero plan. Mumbai has become the first city in South Asia to have declared that it will become net zero by the year 2050. India's targets are 2070. But Mumbai, the financial capital, economic capital of India, says we will achieve it before that. It will be, we can achieve the targets for Mumbai within time only because of certain specific engagements. For example, yesterday only you people mentioned, I don't know if that's true, Amlan, can you please find out if Dubai's Science Museum is taking up 4,500 megawatt power? I'm not sure, but that is the amount of power that Delhi city takes, right, for its consumption, around 5,000 megawatt. Similarly, Mumbai city takes 3,500 megawatt power, and they are trying to ensure that most of the peak power gets converted to solar rooftop. That's a good, very, very good sign. Or the alternate fuel, right? All of them included. 3,500 megawatt. This is for Mumbai city. Not only this, they plan to take 2,100 buses, 2,100 unconventional fuel buses for the city itself, for Mumbai city itself. A city with more than 1 crore of population, 1 crore of population, city limits. For example, Delhi city limits, the city itself less than 1 crore of population. So with Mumbai, but if you include the Delhi conglomerate, the complete Delhi and its satellite cities, the population of Delhi region becomes around 3 crore. But this is not possible for Mumbai because Mumbai is almost an island city. Almost, it is a harbour city located at the coast, and Mumbai city was not formed because the coastline existed and the land existed. There was a reclamation of 7 islands. I don't know. I'm sure that you would have known. Colaba, Little Colaba, Bombay, Mazgaon, Parel, Worli, Mahim, all of these islands were there, and there was a land reclamation, and because of this Mumbai city was formed, and this is how trading capital was formed here in the west. Now, if this has happened around 150-200 years back, imagine that time we did not understand climate change, and that time we did not understand the impact of sea level rise. But then if sea level rise is happening, this is one of the places which will actually get impacted first. India's migrant population gets migrated to these cities where a lot of people are living just to earn some finances and go back. So Mumbai is on target 1 of climate change, sea level rise. This is also on the west coast. You people know that these areas of the west coast, these are the ones which receive a lot of rainfall. Mumbai gets rainfall for more than 6 to 7 months in a year. So not only the climate change, the increased impact of sea level rise, but also increased rainfall, the temperature rise, all of them will impact, and then ensuing cyclones, all of them will be impacting Mumbai. So Mumbai is the first one in South Asia, ahead of New Delhi, Kolkata, Dhaka, Colombo, to adopt this plan of net zero by 2050. Now, for a city like Mumbai, the challenges are many. So if you can remember, and these challenges are reflected through challenges of other cities also. These are the challenges and these are the solutions. The points that I have represented here are applicable for any city. So put it down in your notes when you look at the problems in urban areas. What is it? Waste management. This is one challenge. Greening and biodiversity. This is another challenge, right? For any urban area. Urban floods. Third one. And water resource, energy and building quality, building, and then fourth is pollution, air quality, and fifth is mobility. If you are able to integrate these challenges, remembering also will not be tough. For example, urban flooding is also related to waste management. Urban flooding is also related to the presence of water resources in the area. This can also be amplified through energy presence and sustainable buildings and planning. So if you remember all these 6 parameters, this is what Mumbai is working on, but so will be Delhi, and so will Kolkata be, and all the other cities. So this is how you can look at how sustainable cities get formed. All right. So this is the update from Mumbai. Now the Chief Minister says, or Chief Minister of Maharashtra says that Mumbai must adopt these plans sooner than later. All right. So Mumbai has witnessed a warming trend. Right, natural green cover has reduced, right, greenhouse gases have increased, and The emission of CO2 in a city like this has increased. I was there in Mumbai for a short while, a decade back, where I was working there, and traveling on the Western Express Highway on a bike, it would result in soot deposition on the face, soot deposition if I wouldn't have a helmet. And just removing our wiping off through a handkerchief would see just 10 minutes on the Western Express Highway in the evenings. That means the place is not only having pollution, but people are actually getting impacted because of traffic congestions. That was what was the scenario in 2010. Clear victim of the same. But वही है, खजूर से आसमान से गिरा, खजूर पे अटका. I landed up in Delhi. No better, right? Extremes of temperature here. And climate change could cost a lot to this city itself, right? In fact, there's an approximation which has been given that climate change will cost India to the tunes of around $50 trillion, around $50 trillion by the year 2050, around this figure, right? So, and Mumbai city will also be facing this. Imagine a city like Mumbai, the place which has a lot of migrant population, getting faced with this kind of challenge, right? So electric buses, retrofitting of places, 6 strategic areas that I declared, these are the ones, right? So do remember this. The one advantageous point for a place like Mumbai is that it can initiate green bonds. Pune is one of the cities which started with green bonds. Just like the states can take loans, just like the national governments can take loans, even municipal governments can take loans, provided they have good activism. Provided through these kind of loans, they are able to recover the actual amount that was taken in loan and give back people the profits from it. Profits, or if it was a bond, it is a bond, they have to pay the interest back. So Mumbai has thought of green bonds for green projects because it feels that sustainability will lead to a better future for the city, right? So these are ways in which it has started green activism in the city, and it is also a part of C40 network. It is a network of those cities with the 100 world leading cities. Mumbai is also a part of it, and they want to halve the emission of these cities in a decade. Imagine this, right? So Mumbai is a part of it, and this is how it is planning its move ahead. So it's a good case for you, it's a good example for you, it's a case of how India is developing, and I appreciate the cases that you have put here. Very nice. So you people have put very good cases of how India has changed itself ahead. Giving the Panchamrit is good, absolutely, you have remembered it, it's great, but examples are different than that. Examples are what you said as Kochi, examples are what you mentioned as underground seaweed forest, Konark. Yes, these are the examples, right? So that's the difference. And it must come up in the mind. So when I asked you, it came up, that means you are on the track. So that's very good. Amlan says in Kanchan, good morning to you, Kanchan. Good morning. What else? Yes, 1% talent and 99% hard work. All right. Now China is provoking. Okay. Yeah, China is also in favor of Pakistan, but these are minor issues just to cover an update, right? But you must know how these things happen international arena. Cruise missile does not have a self-destruction mechanism, our scientist says here. See, every missile has got its navigation, and some of the missiles have got a chip-based navigation, which is based on the real-time availability of information. Their guidance can be changed. Some missiles, I'm not speaking of the cruise missiles. Cruise missiles do have a setup through which the chip can be destroyed and the missile can be destroyed mid-air as well, right? If the cruise missile is traveling for 5 minutes, and if this location has been set wrong, is it that it will destruct the place, or is there a way in which it can be the destruction of the place can be avoided? It has to happen. A thing like this must be there in all the missiles, in all the satellites, self-destruction capabilities. Now I will do some research, sir, and get back to you. Okay, museum can produce 4,000 megawatt of solar energy. That's one of the reasons that Dubai has this museum. Many scientists go there and study. Ashish says that what is land reclamation? In coastal areas, the land falls short of the requirements of development. So what we do is we start putting in sand from various places and we start to reclaim the marine areas to develop the terrestrial ecosystem or coastal ecosystem. The same thing has been done in Dubai. If you've seen the projects, there are three island projects. If you've seen in Dubai, one of them is called as, I am forgetting the names, the island projects, where they have reclaimed land in sea areas. They have extracted sand sediments from some areas and deposited it on other areas so that they could create homes for very high end people to live. And Tom Cruise, Beckham, many people live. They have owned homes there, right? So if you look at the map, yes, Palm Islands, that's the name, Palm Islands. If you see the place, it is beautiful, but it has been reclaimed artificially. So has Mumbai been. They have been reclaimed. The areas have been connected through coverage, and in fact, many areas in Mumbai, the reclamation has been such that flat hundreds and hundreds of meters, they have extended the margins of the land towards the sea. So this increases the threat of climate change sea rise in Mumbai. Navi Mumbai became the first 100% vaccinated city in the country. Okay. UK misfired Trident with nuclear warheads towards Florida coast. Okay. Yeah, Odisha government is doing quite well. That's what I also keep saying. Okay, Palm Islands, absolutely. Porous asphalt surface. Gopal, where have you read this? Porous asphalt surface. What I see, asphalt is one of the ingredients for construction, and porous surfaces, what I have seen in many of the images around, is that when a road gets constructed, I think you're speaking of flooding of the cities, urban areas. If we construct a road which has got hard tarmac, so suppose covering the road with the traditional, there are many ways of construction of roads. One of the ways is RCC or PCC, right? Reinforced cement concrete. The other one is the paving of roads through the black roads that we see, tarred roads. Yeah, tarred roads that we see at places. And the third one is the kacha roads, right? The three traditional ways. So kacha roads, the most economical, but the water percolates here. But this is not good for navigation throughout the season, because in winter times it will be muddy. In very hot times and different times it would even disintegrate. So this is kacha roads, village roads. They have been now asked by the government to be revamped to pakka roads. Similarly, we have these tarred roads. Tarred roads, the advantage is that they are very fine to travel. High speed travel is very good, but then they have to be reconstructed every once in a while. The third kind of road is the reinforced concrete cement road. Here, the what we call in Hindi as dhalai, that has to be done. Cement has to be put in. Then there are a lot of chips which have to be laid. The earth has to be excavated a few feet, and then only the road is laid. There, the construction cost is far more than the tarred roads, but the lifetime of this road is far higher. Even in case of floods, even in case of natural disasters, the road will still be there. These are the three traditional kind of roads. Now, scientists have been able to create a new kind of road which is dependent on porous, which has a very good quality called as being porous. So here, even if water spills over, the water gets absorbed in the road. Unlike the RCC road and unlike the tarred roads, right? So this is what is being attempted at many cities around the world, so that the problem of concrete jungle, it gets avoided. All right. So Mumbai also will be implementing this, but I would like to know, Gopal, where you... Oh yes. So Gopal saw this in the Frontiers report. Okay. Good enough. Thank you for asking. What did I explain, Ashish? Kriti, but sir, Palm Islands are facing issues of sea reclamation now. So many constructions have been abandoned. Yes, that's what I want to mention, that these sea reclamations, they are not always good. In fact, they are many other times destructive. We didn't know the times when we were doing this. We did not know the reclamation would be so costly, an affair. Not costly in sense of the finances spent, costly in terms of its sustainability. Not only finances, because if it was costly, people have purchased these islands for millions of dollars. But then spending is not the only thing. No, it is also sustainability in the near and far term. People are traveling through boats. It's not connected through roads. So when people travel through boats, people are still paying for it, right? But then sustainability, but cost in terms of sustainability. See, Mumbai also is going to face the same thing. So will San Francisco. San Francisco also on coast and Bay Area, they have reclaimed a lot of land. A lot of sea. Okay, so tar roads are asphalt roads. Okay, Hima, thank you for mentioning. However, when we talk of porous, Hima, I was explaining the porous roads, porous roads, not the tar roads. But thank you for explaining the asphalt roads are the tar roads. Thank you. Yes, the rate of cyclone has increased in Arabian Sea also, and so with Bay of Bengal. All right. Okay, C40 cities, understood. The third update is on removal of price caps from microfinance lenders. All right. See, there have been certain caps which have been placed by RBI on microfinance lending, right? NBFC, non-banking financial companies, they have been lending, and there are special institutions, microfinance institutions, they have also been lending to people. They have been lending at higher rates to the and earlier when the sector was not regulated, they would lend to the poorer class at higher interest rate, and there was a formal banking sector, but banking channels were not introduced throughout the whole country, especially the rural areas or specific places. For example, self-help groups, right, in rural areas or peri-urban areas. Similarly, there were institutions which were directly not covered under banks. Banks also would not want to formally indulge in giving loans to many people who did not have collaterals. That is the reason we had microfinance institutions boosting in India, but they would lend at higher rates. Now many of the recovery of loans thus was tough. Also, there was Malegam committee. There were a lot of recommendations on microfinance institutions, and they said they need proper regulation, and therefore government started to regulate the NBFCs, MFIs, right? Loans, a lot of loans have been existent. They're yet to be paid. Share of outstanding loans. The NBFC, MFCs, MFIs constitute 20% plus of the loans which are yet to be paid, right? So RBI has to give some relaxation to these microfinance institutions so that they're able to recover. Now they had some regulations. For example, one of the regulation was this, that they can give loans to only those persons who are earning 25,000 rupees per annum in rural areas and 2 lakh rupees in urban areas. So above this, microfinance institutions would not be able to pay loans to. But now the government says, RBI says that 3 lakh, if you earn, you can pay this amount. You can also, up to 3 lakhs is the amount in which you can access this target group as well. So this is one. They have increased the market size. Yes, this is the word. They have increased the market size for MFIs. Then the limit of maximum repayment value. Now they have said that 50% of the amount, that is up to 1.5 lakhs maximum, the people can pay back to the MFIs, right? Whatever they earn, maximum 50% they have to pay back, not more than that, right? There will not be prepayment penalty. What is prepayment penalty? See, in case I had to return back the amount in 5 years, first year, second year, third, fourth, fifth year, but if I have paid back the amount in third year itself, this is where the banks say they actually ask for an extra penalty. You have paid early, there is a penalty for that. I was also reading that when the state governments also take loans from the central government, the center says you return back the amount in stipulated period, not before that. It is somehow linked. It is just like the installment scheme, right? 0% interest and installment scheme. You have to pay back in a certain time, but if you pay before, that is not a part of the deal, right? They will take extra amount. You rather have that amount in your savings in your bank account but do not pay back before time. So right now they have said that there will be no prepayment penalty. How it is there, why it is there, I can speculate a couple of reasons. One of the reason is that each of them have planned their finances. If the repayment is happening in 5 years, right, they will be spending this amount in 5th and 4th year as well. The people who get the amount, they'll be spending in the 4th and 5th year as well. But in case they get the amount in 3rd year, they will not have the planning for 4th and 5th year, right? So this is how I think it could be, right? So that would be called as prepayment penalty. There will be no prepayment penalty right now, right? Then reduction in minimum requirement of microfinance. Earlier, 85% of total of the amount that would be spent here, that would be on the microfinance lending only. But now they can reduce that amount to microfinance lending to 75%, rest of it to other lending as well, right? So this is, if it is to other categories of people, not microfinance, it is going to be beneficial because again, the MFIs will be increasing their base of operations, right? So these are the ways in which RBI has given some relaxation to microfinance institutions. World Consumer Rights Day. Today is World Consumer Rights Day, showing that image again to you people of what consumer rights stand for. Right to comfortability, security, safety. Before anything, right to information of what is being sold to me, right? Right to be informed about your rights, right to seek compensation and redress, right to choose the product. There must be number of products, not one product. Right to complain and to be heard, right to advocacy, all the rights to be available. And slowly and steadily, the government of India has amended its Consumer Protection Right Acts and made available all these rights to people. All right. So this is an update from here. And the question asked was, March 15, 1962 was the day when Amlan says 1962. See, 1983, it was celebrated for the first time. That's what it is. And that's true. But yes, 1962, I think 62 was the year in which it was acknowledged for the first time in US Parliament by the erstwhile President John F. Kennedy that consumer rights must exist. And since it was acknowledged on March 15, 1962, that is the reason that they chose March 15 as the World Consumer Rights Day. Right? That's it. Okay, I hope I have cleared the question, doubt. Feature news. The feature news is on India-UAE relations. We will understand India-UAE, India-Arab, and the context in which this news is there, the kind of relationship that we share, the context of look west policy, and what are the advantages and issues related to India-UAE relationship. All right, in the feature news immediately after this discussion. Image of the day. Right. White growth. Image of the day is on the dark and hairy after the tongue that gets formed, right? This is also called as black hairy tongue. This happens to people because of several factors. This gentleman who had it, it was because they were subjected to a pureed diet. What is a pureed diet? The liquid diet, something the people don't have to chew after a stroke. And after some time, this led to some hairy growth around the skin, tongue, etc. And all right, so this is the update. Okay, this is also a condition, a medical condition, right? Possible causes of black hairy tongue include poor oral hygiene, excessive alcohol intake, or changes in the mouth after use of antibiotic. 13% of people develop black hairy tongue at some point in their life. So, a curable. Alright, terms. The first term for today is on Center for Space Sciences, Jammu. A part of Jammu University, Central Jammu University, says Center for Space Sciences have been formed here and named after Satish Dhawan because he belonged to this particular place. Satish Dhawan Center for Space Sciences. They will be able to participate in frontier technologies, frontier research. One of the frontier research is space itself, right? So you could call this as frontier research technology, right? So this is the update from here, and examination through IIT. Now the significance of a place like Jammu for these kind of research is that this place is associated with those places which are at high altitude, and visibility for astronomical objects is easier because of clear skies, high altitude, high altitude and lesser pollution. I'd gone to the village, the village in Ladakh, where we have set up a couple of Asia's largest observatories, telescopes. One of them is operated by Tata from Bangalore through remote, and those were the places where one could gaze sky at night and everything would be very clear. And that is the place where they have chosen to have astronomical observatories, and therefore Jammu, being one of the places which is very close to it, can have good operations. Can you name that place, the village in Ladakh where we have these facilities? The symbol Z has been used number of times by Russia at various places to denote we don't know what. It is speculated that the symbol Z indicates Z for victory, for peace. Z also relates to a word which means west in English, and possibly conquering the west. Each of them, right? Somebody says it is about ending the war as well, right? So the symbol Z has been placed by many people. People winning medals have put Z on their jerseys. People who are on tanks and Russian tanks have put the Z. People having Z sign, right? Z for victory, for peace, right? So this is the update. Symbol Z should not get confused with the regular Z, letter Z. Also, the symbols for war. See, symbolic representation is very important. Symbols are very important. Symbols are very important primarily because symbols aggregate masses, right? Even the Nazi symbol was a symbol, aggregated people. Similarly, the symbol of Indian Union is the Ashok Chakra, right? Similarly, this is how integration of people has been done by symbolization of it through the letter Z in Russia. All right. Owl conservation. India has got around 36 varieties of owl, and many of them are being exterminated because of various factors, right? Sacrifices and illegal trade in owls. This is the reason that India has initiated a program for launching ID cards. What is an ID card? This is not tagging owls here, but this is about introduction of PDF booklets for awareness of people about what owls are, what is the need for their conservation, what are these kind of species. These are elusive species, predators at night. People do not know much about owls, right? And they have been protected under CITES, under WPA and many other treaties. Illegal wildlife trade must be stopped. These are nocturnal hunters, right? Trapped for sacrifices, local mystic practices, owl conservation by traffic and wildlife, WWF, not WFF, wild WWF. All right. So owl conservation. It was a part of the Hindu. COVAX, to be administered to children between the age of 12 to 17 years. We have discussed what is the reason there was a delay in this administration of drug doses to children. This is the update giving a nod to a new vaccination, COVAX. Okay. Okay, there is an update. Z to target Zelensky. But is he at mistake? Oh yes, Hanle, that's the place. I'd gone there. Yes, Hanle is the place. It's a beautiful place to go. Interest income to lenders. Okay. Okay, Vivek, understood. Babani says BBC News mentioned that it may be because of Zelensky to divert the soldiers to think it's off the Ukraine. Okay. But then, okay. All right. So one of the perspective is Z saying belonging to Ukraine because their leader's name is Zelensky. Time to reassess what is good, what is bad, and what is ugly about Indian tech regulations. They say that a lot of technology have come up in India, but then Are we able to regulate it? And there are ethical challenges, there are challenges for finances, there are challenges of money laundering. They mentioned quite a few. The first one that they say is bullying, online gambling, money laundering. They are all associated with frontier or new technologies, right? Online technologies. Bullying, online gambling, money laundering. The second one is governance issues. We have still not been able to finalize the word that we are using for crypto, right? We call it online digital assets, not even currencies, right? Then how to regulate it, what is legal and what is illegal. This is what has been questioned in this particular editorial from ORF. Two editorials from ORF, one from the Indian Express today. The second one is on free trade agreement. The crux of this editorial is that India must choose its agreements very carefully. If you remember, we had clearly spoken that the previous FTAs or CEPA that we did with Southeast Asia, it resulted in increased imports to India. Now, on one hand, when we are importing more, it is easier for the consumers. It is easier for the consumers because we are getting at competitive prices. But then what about Indian manufacturers? They are facing the peril. The manufacturing sector is dealing with these problems because we are facing high technology products at cheaper cost with cheaper labor facilities or automated facilities in Southeast Asia. And this is the reason that we are negotiating these pacts with other countries. Now, UK, Australia, right, negotiating with USA, many other countries India is negotiating with. So India must look at the cost benefit and what is going to benefit us. It must be not done in haste. We covered all these aspects. Same have been repeated here in this ORF article. We covered this in the feature news on free trade agreements, right? This is what it says. Although UAE FTA will be helpful to us. Why? Because it is complementary in nature, right? It is complementary. We are not competing with a country like this. All right. Geopolitical cost benefit analysis must be there. The third editorial is on the geopolitical reset. The editorial says that there are quite few things which are happening because of this kind of issue here. The first is the clearance of access or understanding of USA, Russia and China relationship. This has been set quite a few times. Earlier, USA was trying to become an ally of Russia, but after Russia, so that they could be on one side and Russia could be distanced with China. This is one thing that it mentions. But later, after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, USA has, stopped giving much heed to Russia, and Russia and China have become one. This is first thing. The second, editorial says that we have seen that although there was a fracture between USA and Europe, we have discussed the fracture. Why the fracture? USA is not a part of European continent, still interfering in the internal policies. It says, the editorial says that they have still realigned. USA, along with European economies, they have still realigned and become one during these times of crisis. The third, it says, is the tendencies which had good relations with Russia. For example, Germany has now started to cut off its relationship with Russia. For example, remilitarization is one of the things that it has done. Diversifying the sources of oil and petroleum, not only for Germany, for the whole Europe. This is what now USA is planning. USA is planning for Europe, and they have diversified to as much as Venezuela. They have diversified to as much as, you would be surprised to know, Iran. They are ready to import from Iran as well, the country they had sanctioned previously. So in war, there are no permanent allies. They are permanent or permanent enemies. They are only permanent interest. See, when it comes to war, values necessarily yield to interest. There are no values. This is where India must learn from a country like China, forming relationships only on the basis of their permanent interest, right? Not on the basis of if that nation is exporting terrorism, if there is democracy, if there is autocracy, if there are regular elections happening or not. And this is how India has also forged its present ties, relationship with Myanmar, relationship with China, all getting evolved with time. So this is one more. And then the fourth and fifth part of this editorial says that the structure, geopolitics in Asia has also evolved. So countries like Japan, South Korea, Philippines, Vietnam, all of them trying to militarize themselves. Some of them even looking at nuclear capabilities. Japan, South Korea, Australia and Taiwan looking at nuclear powered submarines as well. Right? So this is what we see as a great geopolitical reset. All right. They've also shared the context of bigger wars happening. In the beginning, they shared the context of bigger wars. World War One was a geopolitical reset. So was World War Two. In World War One, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, it broke off, and then it led to the formation of European nationalities, right? And the Second World War led to the breakaway, or the imperialistic tendencies of European countries. It broke, and then this led to many of the democratic nations getting freed from the clutches of European powers. So great political resets happening during times previously and right now as well. All right, this is the editorial about. If you like this initiative, share some love through likes, comments, and shares. There are comments, there are questions, there are inputs, feedbacks. Please share with us. This case study is on the Signal School, right? Initiated in Ahmedabad. The Signal School is inside a bus, right? There, the Signal School has started 10 buses, 10 yellow buses, and children wait for these buses. Let the buses come. They will get inside it and they will study, and after that they will be they'll be let free. Now the point of having these buses is that firstly, the infrastructure is not permanent and buses can shift from one place to another. So this is one, right? So advantage is funds. We don't need permanent spaces, we don't need land, we don't need those permanent funds and maintenance, right? Also, the children here, for example, children of slum areas, children who are destitute, children living on roads, children who are the children of migrant workers. Now these people keep shifting from one place to another, and that is where the buses have spotted those places, traffic lights, those places where they can, at the corner they can start their school. For 6 months they would teach children inside the school buses, and after they are empowered to a level, then they would be allowed to go to the regular schools also, because this is how they will be able to scale the students up to the level of school education. So good initiative. If you remember, we had covered one case on Bangladesh and the boat schools. This is a very similar concept, Signal schools, right? Municipal Corporation of Ahmedabad, Municipal School Board, and Gujarat State Legal Services Authority, they have started this Signal schools. A good case study. You should remember this. Children have to be educated, but they have also to be left to educate themselves. Absolutely true. And when we look at you have to be supported, but you started taking that leadership onus on yourself. So it's a great step ahead, all of you. Hi Niranjan, good evening. Kriti says, sir, is Soviet Union disintegration a great political reset too? Soviet disintegration has been a phenomenal change, it has been a remarkable change in the world history. Mere acknowledgement that the communist ideology does not exist anymore, it is a huge change for the whole world, because earlier there were polarization between two big powers, but when USSR, Soviet Union, could not sustain itself economically, politically, diplomatically, the uniting 15 countries could not sustain themselves. There were rebel tendencies. It was just like in Soviet Union, when there were 15 economies, the biggest of them being Russia. All the funds were going to Russia, right? Lot of political affiliations were not happening with Russia, and they all wanted their independence. There was corruption, and there were a lot of issues within the countries itself, intra-countries and inter-country. Not only that, the system of communism, it did not foster very much. It did not foster in China, it did not foster in USSR. And this made USA the global hegemon. And slowly and steadily, there were problems, and the current problems are not the current problems. These problems have been for over a decade. And this is a retaliation right now, which the European nations have started to see. And the fallout of this, whatever you're seeing right now, is not going to be felt only for the times of war. In fact, possibly the war might end in a while, right? After the annexation of the capital as well, Kiev, right? It has been surrounded, they will annex it. But then Europe is planning to reduce and eliminate its supplies from Russia, right? $100+ billion of oil that is supplied to Europe, that will oil and gas that will cease to operate from application from Russia. How will this sustain their economy? We have studied that Russia's oil economy is not able to diversify itself because the people are less, right? The economy is centered around few exports only. So and they have military power, right? This is not only about finances, but this is about ideologies. The ideologies got there was an ideological battle 30 years back, but now it does not exist. So this was a great political reset in some way or the other. All the countries have adopted capitalism or socialism or a mix of both of it, right? So according to me, yes, I think it was. Pooja, sure, ask your doubt in the comment section, or we quickly meet in the other video that is on the feature news, and you ask your doubt in that particular video if it is fine, right? So let's meet in the other video quickly for the UAE India relations. All right. Thank you for participation. If there are questions, please put them down. People viewing offline, you're most welcome. There are questions, please put them down so that we are able to help you, right? And there are questions also which we post offline. So please answer to those questions. It will be helpful for your own answer writing and growth. You can see the comments in the online section, and there are enormous comments, and that too very powerful comments on how answer writing is happening here. So please participate. It will be great to see you participate. Thank you here. Thank you all of you. Pooja, please put your question in the offline comments or on the other chat for feature news, right? Thank you.